Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from the classic Def Leppard song, Photograph. And before we get started, I want to mention the tuning really quickly here. If you try to play along to the original song, you're probably going to find that you're out of tune. But it's not you, it's them. You see, Def Leppard acknowledged a long time ago that when they were recording the Pyromania album, they had some tuning issues and it resulted in their guitars being roughly 1/4 step flat for this song. But don't worry, we're going to keep things simple here. We're going to keep our guitars in standard tuning. All right, let's jump on into it. All right, for section 1, I'm going to show you the way that I recommend playing it, which is the way most people play it, including Phil Collen himself when he does it live. Now, it's actually a little bit different than what's going on in the studio, but the problem with trying to recreate what's in the studio is there are 3 different tracks that are creating this section right here, and some of the notes are overlapping, which is impossible to do live with just one lead guitar player. So I'm going to show you the way that most people do it, and Phil does it live, and then I'll explain right after that really quickly how it's done in the studio. So the first thing you're going to do is play the low E string, the open note, and you're going to quickly bring the bar down about 2 steps. So it's kind of like taking the note from E to C, and then you hold it for a little bit and then bring it back up like this. Then you hold that note for a little bit, and then you're going to bend up at the 7th fret of the G string, and at the top of the bend, you're going to do a pretty wide vibrato, like this. Then we move up to the 15th fret of the B string and do the same thing. We do a bend up into a very wide vibrato. Then the last 4 notes go like this. I'll play them at regular speed and then slowly. Alright, now let me quickly explain what's really going on in the studio and why everyone plays it the way that I'm showing you how to play it. The first 3 notes in this section, they actually overlap. That first open E note with the whammy bar dip, he holds on to that note, and while he's holding it, then that 7th fret G string bend, the second note comes in. And then while that note is starting to feed back, right, because on the record he lets it feed back, he's got some excessive volume going on, while it's still feeding back, that 15th fret B string bend occurs. Okay, so those 3 notes in the studio overlap, which is impossible to do live unless you have 3 lead guitar players. That's why everybody does it the way that I'm showing you. Here it is one more time. All right, let's move to the next section. Section 2 goes like this. This is probably the easiest section of the entire solo, but the one thing I want to call out here is that 11th fret bend at the end of it. You're going to take your time in that one. You don't want to rush that one. You want to kind of dig in and take your time going up to the top of that bend. So here's this whole section one more time. And then slowly. Section 3 goes like this. Let me slow that down for you. Now this lick, or variations of it, have been in so many solos. I've talked about this before. It's one of those classic rock licks that you just have to know, right? And what Phil does here is he's actually picking every note. A lot of times you'll see this tabbed where the 12th fret to the 9th fret notes are a pull-off, like this. But if you listen carefully and you watch Phil live, he always picks all 4 notes. But that said, if you find that to be a little bit tricky to play that at the right speed by picking every note, you can do the pull-offs if it makes it a little bit easier. I think most people won't even notice. Section 4 goes like this. Let me slow that down for you. Should be pretty easy to follow the tabs. And of course at the end, once again, you've got a nice wide vibrato when you do that bend up at the 12th fret. Now as an added bonus, I'm going to show you what Phil Collen does here live. He's been doing this for many years now. He's adding 2 extra notes in, and he'll go like this. Let me do that slowly. See how I added the 5th and 6th notes in there? where we do the hammer on to the 11th fret and then the pull off to the 9th fret. Phil's been doing that live for many years. So if you like that better, you can always do that too. Section 5 goes like this. Now I'm going to play that slowly and then we'll dissect it a little bit. Now the first 3 notes there, where we're doing the bending on the 14th fret of the high E, I see people play that wrong quite a bit. And I've seen it tabbed wrong almost all the time too. So what you're doing is the first bend is just a simple, full step bend up at the 14th fret. And then the second one is a pre-bend. So what you're doing is you're bringing the bend down about halfway, so now you're only a half step up, and you're hitting the note. And then you're bringing the bend all the way back up, hitting the note again, and giving it a wide vibrato, like this. But a lot of times what I see people do instead is they'll bend up at the 14th fret, then they'll bring it down all the way, and then back up and do the vibrato, okay? Which is going to sound like this. Now, the difference isn't huge, but it's there. So if you end up playing it the other way, not a lot of people will notice, but if you want to be accurate, you want to make sure to do it this way. So here's this whole section one more time, both at regular speed and then slowly. Now I've also seen this tabbed out where it shows that final note. See that 12th fret high E string where we're sliding down? I've seen that tabbed as a whammy bar dip instead, a 1.5 step whammy bar dip. And that would sound like this. Now the reason I'm telling you about that is because Phil Collen actually does both on the record. Okay, you can hear him do the slide down and the whammy bar dip. And you might be saying, well, how is that possible? Well, it's because, as I noted earlier, he double tracked the solo. So he's doing, in one of the tracks, he's doing the slide down, and in another, he's doing the whammy bar dip. You can hear them both if you listen closely. So you can just pick whichever one sounds best to you. But if it's worth anything, I've noticed that Phil always does the slide down live in concert. But I think at the end of the day, just pick whatever sounds best to you. And the final section, section 6, goes like this. Now let's break that 1 in half, and the first part's going to go like this. Let me play that slowly now. That should be easy enough, right? Now for the second part, here's where it gets a little bit trickier, and this is another part that I see a lot of people play wrong. And the way I've tabbed it, ignore those little 3 lines there right before the first slide up into the 12th fret. I'll explain what that is in a minute. But if you just play it the way I've tabbed it, not paying attention to those little marks there, it would go like this. But if you pay closer attention to the song, and if you watch Phil live, he's actually approaching it a little bit different than that. So what he's doing is it's tremolo picking, right? Tremolo picking is when you just do, really fast picking like this. And typically you use tremolo picking when it's on single notes. Like Van Halen does it a lot. So what Phil's doing is, as he's sliding up to that 12th fret, he's already started picking and doing the tremolo picking. And then once he gets up there, it's a little bit haphazard. You can hear the notes kind of, falling on top of each other a little bit. But part of that is also due to the fact that he doubled the solo on the record. Okay, and when you do that and you incorporate a technique like this, it can cause a little bit of, kind of blending of notes, if you will. So again, if you want to do it just like Phil, you're going to want to incorporate the tremolo picking technique, and you're going to start picking as you're sliding up to that first 12th fret note. Now, all of that said, I wouldn't get too hung up on doing exactly like that, because most people won't know the difference. But for those that have watched Phil play live, you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, that was my video showing you how to play the guitar solo from Def Leppard's Photograph. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will attempt to answer all as time allows. Until next time, rock on.